Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Supergirl issue 30 in an issue entitled Fractured Trust. This picks up right at the end of last issue where Gandelo confronts Supergirl and basically reveals that Z'ndol Kol, her partner in helping her try to solve the mysteries and obtain all the crystals and artifacts to obtain basically Aliapsa's confession that he's basically betrayed her. How does it's called Fractured Trust because Kara's trust in Z'ndol Kol is fractured because Gandelo reveals the truth. Now, of course, it right away starts with Supergirl and Z'ndol Kol getting into an argument, and they're fighting about it. And Z'ndol Kol basically says, "Look, yes, initially I was going to spy on you, and that was my job. But I realized that my mom, my adopted mom, was off her rockers. You're a good person. After the Omega Men thing, I abandoned all that. You can trust me. I'm as much a victim as you are, and my mother's crazy. She's psychotic. My adopted mother's crazy, psychotic. And now Supergirl, the only reason Supergirl probably doesn't beat the heck out of Z'ndol Kol is because she can tell that he's probably telling the truth because she can use her super hearing and tell it by his heartbeat that he's basically telling the truth. Now, in the meantime, then, she right away attacks Gandelo because Gandelo says, "How could you do this? How could you disrupt all my plans? I'm not going to let you destroy everything that I've planned." And, of course, that drives Kara crazy because, it's clear that Gandelo was the one that basically hired and retained the services of Rogol Zaar that destroyed Krypton, that ultimately destroyed the bottle city of Kandor. I mean, she's a genocidal maniac, and all she can think of is herself. Now, what I really love about this issue, it has 3 out of 4 key things. This issue has got great action, it's got great dialogue, and it's got great art. The only thing that I could maybe nitpick about is that there's slow progression on the story. But I already know there's going to be slow progression on the story because it's got to wait for Bendis' story in Superman to catch up, which it does at the end of this issue, thankfully. And what writer Marc Andreyko does so well here is that this is just a really satisfying comic book, I find, because, like I said, so much action, so beautifully drawn by Kevin Maguire, and the battle tactics used by Supergirl here are just amazing. I mean, I'll get to that in a moment, but again, with the dialogue here, the rapport and the just the conversation between Z'ndol Kol and Supergirl, and even the interaction of Krypto, everything blends together so well. The evil sort of machinations, the indifference shown of Gandelo as she's talking to Supergirl. She's clearly one very evil bitch, and this is just such a beautifully structured story. And the battle sequences between Supergirl and Gandelo are just amazing. Kevin Maguire does a great job of showing Supergirl smash the face of Gandelo in, and Kevin Maguire, the detail in his art is great as he shows the shattered fragments of glass and crystal, because Gandelo is a crystal creature. And at one point, Supergirl even shatters, uses sort of like a sonic boom, hits the ground, and creates a sonic waves that basically burst Gandelo, and also burst Gandelo. Gandelo had caged her son, Z'ndol Kol, into sort of a crystal lattice, and that was shattered by the sonic boom created by Supergirl. Just really brilliantly done. Supergirl takes out Gandelo ultimately by hitting the ground, opening up the ground, and letting molten lava come up, and molten lava melting the glass and caging Gandelo. And she only does that after a beautiful moment between Kara and Krypto here, which really establishes and shows just how important Krypto is. Krypto is not simply a pet that is an afterthought in this story and never has been. He's always provided very heartfelt moments for the characters of both Kara and Z'ndol Kol. And in this moment, Kara, she at one point in her battle with Gandelo, she gets very angry. Whenever she gets very angry, the axe of Rogol Zaar feeds on that anger and becomes powered up. And she's about to use that axe to kill Gandelo. And then out of the blue, Krypto puts himself between Kara and Gandelo. and he has those, of course, he has those little those puppy eyes looking up at Supergirl, and it brings it grounds Supergirl into some rational thinking, and she realizes that she's had enough of anger, she's had enough of hate, and she's got to let that go if she's ever going to save herself and move on. And it's all thanks to Krypto, and she, of course, and there's a wonderful moment between her and Krypto. It's just a touching scene, just a beautifully characterized issue. Again, Marc Andreyko is just absolutely hitting it out of the park. I mean, I just wish, I say again, I wish he was I wish he was writing Superman, because he's just that much better at getting the characterizations and getting these characters and getting the dialogue. And then ultimately at the end, Gandelo is defeated, and as things are sort of wrapping up, all of a sudden Rogol Zaar's axe flies into the upper atmosphere, and it seems to pull and draw Kara with it, and it ends up ultimately that it pulls Kara through space. Exactly how far away from the planet Kara is pulled away from, we don't really know. That's not quite clear, but she ends up that the axe was attracted to Superman and Superboy, because Supergirl ends up meeting up with Superman and Superboy, and as Superman expressed, wow, this is kind of a crazy coincidence, but I'm glad to see you. And of course we know from at the end of the, I believe it was Superman issue 10, Superman and Superboy had basically flew into space looking for Zor-el, and I'm assuming that's where they've now met up with Supergirl. So now these two storylines are converging, and it's exciting stuff. I really like it, and we're getting, again, I've said this before, we're getting more revelations about Rogol Zaar, more interesting revelations, and better writing than in the pages of Supergirl under Marc Andreyko. With, I say, very, very good art. I mean, kudos to Kevin Maguire and all the other artists that have helped him along the way. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff on Supergirl. Kevin Maguire, Marc Andreyko, you've done a great job on this, and you're salvaging a Superman storyline that frankly isn't going very far in the pages of Superman. So kudos to you, because you're keeping me on board pretty much all by yourselves. Now, this story is going to continue in issue 31 of Supergirl, as well as I believe issue 11, issue 12 of Superman. So I might have been wrong when I said Superman 10 before. Maybe that was Superman 11. In any event, this story continues next month, or in 2 weeks' time, I believe, with the issues 31 and Superman issue 12. So overall, I gotta say, I'm extremely impressed with this story. Again, great action, great characterization, great dialogue. It's a little slow on the progression of the story, but it moves it forward at least. And so we got at least solid 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And so I got to give this issue a solid, for me, this issue is a solid 7.5 out of 10. And it's well worth the read. And thank God for Marc Andreyko and Kevin Maguire. That's all I got to say. Guys, tell me what you think of this particular issue. Follow me on Twitter. I'm Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom out.